Gold soared 30% last year, and now you can purchase Gold Eagles or other gold investments with advice from specialists at Stanford Coins and Bullion. Gold performed 5 times better than the S&P 500 in 2007, and with a weak dollar, global tensions, falling interest rates, and recession fears, we think the growth could continue. To invest in gold and receive a free Gold Investor's Guide, call Stanford Coins and Bullion now.
All right, welcome back to Commodity Classics. I'm Michael Yorba, your host. My guest this segment is Tim Bost, editor and publisher of Financial Cycles Weekly. Let's bring him in real quick. Tim, how you been, buddy?
Oh, doing great, Michael. How about yourself?
Great, great, great. How's the weather there in Florida? Beautiful Florida.
Oh, we're very, very warm here today, as is appropriate for this time of year.
Okay, we got a whole bunch of stuff stacked up for you in the shout box, and we're going to talk about some really interesting and fast-moving stuff here about with AIG and the insurance.
That's correct. We've got a couple of charts to look at today. Do we want to do those first, or take a shot at some of the questions?
Well, let's acknowledge our viewers, our fans, and your fans. Excuse me. All right, let's see here. Edward Paul has got his first in there. He says, "Hello, Mr. Bost. I tried buying your CD Billionaire today, but no PayPal option. Please check it out." And,
okay.
Let's see. I do not. Let's see here. Just read the. We're not going to go into the rest of it. That's between you and your client. He's trying to buy your book though. So follow up on that guy, will you? Jeffrey Cooper. How does one enter to view the program? Donna, will you take care of that for me? And Burbank Mike, does your model pick up any geopolitical influences on the, boy, you're all over the globe here, buddy. Does your model pick up any geopolitical influences on the market? For example, Iran standoff, protests at the Olympics, before we get into AIG.
Well, we have just had this major solar eclipse, and that impacts a lot of areas of the globe. As I recall, Iran is one of the areas that's impacted. Certainly there's a lot of influence with this eclipse on the Middle East, but the eclipse path also ends in China, where we're getting ready to start the Olympics, and that's a geopolitical hotspot right now as well.
Okay, all right. Don't forget that customer wants to buy your stuff. But
yeah, have him send me an email, tim@timbost.com, and I'll be glad to deal with him personally.
Okay, that sounds good. He just needs a little help on your website.
Right,
all right.
Sure.
All right, which I like to see happen here. People are so excited they're getting on the show to get to buy your stuff. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. It's well worth every penny, and I'm not joking.
Well, thank you, Michael.
No, I'm not kidding. You're welcome, but I'm not kidding. I went through it myself. All right. I have, was this IAK?
IAK, yes. This is the iShares tracking stock. It's an ETF that tracks the Dow insurance sector index. And I find the ETFs very interesting to work with when we're looking at various market sectors. Because they give us a way of seeing where people are putting real money behind a sector as a whole. And this is a very interesting pattern that we're seeing. There are two planets that we're interested in. Venus has been defining the trend ETF, and Pluto has been providing the support and resistance lines. And what's happened here in the lower right-hand corner of the chart, we can see that the price has been bouncing back and forth between support and resistance on the Pluto lines, and this is really beginning to confine the range. It's having a hard time moving back up, and we're seeing a great deal of weakness in the insurance industry as a whole. Readers of my newsletter will recall that a couple of weeks ago I mentioned in the letter that we had a lot of fundamental weakness in the insurance industry, and it was time to be very, very cautious in that area, and that I anticipated a fallout there equal to what we've seen in the banking sector over the past 6 or 8 months. And certainly with AIG yesterday, which is the world's largest insurer, admitting that they were holding a whole lot of very questionable mortgage paper in their portfolios and coming up with a third consecutive quarter of losses, we're beginning to see the dam breaking in this sector.
Oh, my goodness. You know, we've been talking about that for about a week and a half now here on this show, about the potential of that occurring because of what you just mentioned, this bad paper that they've been putting into the portfolios of annuities and XYZ. I even went so far as to have an annuity expert on the show assuring us that really the amount of the portfolio would be 1, maybe 3% for most of these people. But you're saying even that is really affecting these larger...
Well, obviously it is, because there's such vast weakness there, and you know, when something goes down to a negative value, it really calls everything else in your portfolio into question as well, and that's part of the problem here. It's an erosion of trust and credibility, as well as the erosion of the actual paper that's being held.
All right. Is there any specific cycles? I mean, I see the planetary lines that you've got up there. They look exceptionally accurate. I mean, I'm looking at this bounce right here, this top, this bounce right here, and then this top again over here on the right-hand side. Let's get back to Tim for a second, guys. Tim, is there anything in your analysis that kind of gives you a feeling? I'm not going to try and pin you down to a day, but a feeling of the length of trend of this negative bias with this index?
Well, we're into a very interesting period right now, because one of the key factors that I've determined here is the support and resistance provided by the planet Pluto. And Pluto is just in the process of moving into the sign of Capricorn geocentrically. Heliocentrically, it moved into Capricorn in late July, but geocentrically it's visited Capricorn, is backed up into Sagittarius, and then will be going back into Capricorn this fall. Now, we have to understand that this is a very, very slow-moving planet. The last time it did this was almost 250 years ago, and so it's something entirely new in terms of its impact on the insurance industry, at least as we know it in modern times. And I suspect that there's going to be a lot of fallout connected with this as we get adjusted to this new position for Pluto, and we could see considerable downside because of that.
Do you feel that this considerable downside may start anytime soon, or we're just going to
Yes,
play it?
We're looking at this coming up over the next couple of months with the movement of Pluto back into Capricorn, and so by the end of the year, I think we will see much of this in evidence.
Okay. All right. Did you want to move to the next chart?
Yeah, let's take a quick look at AIG, because this was something that we picked up on in the news after the close yesterday. The announcement that once again the performance had not been up to snuff for the company. They've been through some major struggles lately, 3 consecutive quarters of major losses. They moved out a CEO, brought in a new one, apparently to little avail based on the kind of numbers that we're seeing there. So I got very interested in taking a look at what was going on with the company astrologically. We don't have the astrological chart for the company in front of us, but it's a fascinating chart to examine for the first time that the stock was traded. It suggests a company of very, very large influence, and indeed they are the world's largest insurer. What seems to be going on with the company in terms of the planetary lines and the trends with the stock is the influence of Mercury and Mars. And these two planets have been kind of weaving in and out of each other in their paths, alternately providing support and resistance for AIG as it's been on the way down. This chart covers, I think, 9 and 10 months, a little less than a year on the chart that we have in front of us here. And it's a longer-term downtrend. But for much of that trend, what we've seen is Mercury and Mars defining the bounds of the price movement. Now, this is interesting to me because coming up on the 23rd of September, we will have a conjunction of Mars and Mercury. And these two planets coming together in the sky, I think, will provide kind of a double whammy effect as far as AIG goes. We may see a bottom, short-term trading bottom for the stock at that point. It may move right down through that point. But that would give us a price point of about $17.25.
Let's go to the chart for a second, guys. Go ahead.
So, in other words, there's more downside. This is a stock that was trading not all that long ago at about $60, $65 a share. It's fallen considerably, and then it's moved down to the mid to low 20s at this point. And as I say, I expect it to break below $20 a share with a price target of about $17.25 by the 23rd of September, simply because not only do these two planets come together, this happens just as we have Mercury going retrograde at the same time. So it gives an extra emphasis to the combination of Mars and Mercury at that particular point. And it will definitely be a time to watch for this stock. And because it's a bellwether for the insurance industry as a whole, we could see some more cracks in the dike at that time with the insurance industry as a whole.
Okay, that gives us a good point to look forward to. We've got a couple of questions here in the shout box real quick before we get out. Helena, do you have any comment on Arch Crawford's prediction of a crash starting yesterday?
Well, I haven't seen it yet, the crash that is, but no, I'm continue to look for a move upward this month into a topping pattern. If we look at Arch's work carefully and the analysis that's going on, this time frame that we're in right now and the stressful Mars-Uranus opposition that we had yesterday mark the beginning of a period in which we're likely to see a sharp decline in the markets. And this extends from now on into March of next year. So at any point during this time frame, we're very, very susceptible to a big move down. It doesn't necessarily mean that the crash starts right on the button when the planetary aspect occurs.
I got that. Now, Ed Paul, we're about out of time, but I want to get Mr. Edward Paul. He's got a real quick question. It says, hello, Mr. Bost. Will all these problems eventually come to Canada, or is it an American thing, hoping we'll be saved by oil and gold? Mr. Edward Paul, thank you for joining from Canada. Please.
Well, we'd like to feel that Canada is immune here, but unfortunately I don't think that's the case. There's a lot of speculation going on in the oil and gold markets, and even though the real commodities are there in abundance in Canada, I don't think that gives our neighbors to the north complete immunity from the debacle that we're seeing.
Got it. Got it. All right, Tim, thanks so much. Let's get a number or contact information for you for the people who've shown up and they want to get in contact with you.
Right. You can email me, tim@timbost.com. That's TIMBOST, or call me 941-921-2588.
Thanks so much, Tim.
Thank you, Michael.
My pleasure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome. That was Tim Bost. I've personally gone through his course. I have gone through the software that he's affiliated with. That's a Galactic Trader, Fibonacci Galactic Trader. His stuff is phenomenally accurate. I have never seen anything like his stuff and Fibonacci Galactic Trader software for accuracy in tuning in your trading. And take it from me, and I don't make a whole lot of endorsements here, but that's one that I feel very comfortable standing behind. We'll be right back with Kristen O'Farrell of Managed Capital Advisory Group, and she's going to talk about a subject I think we're going to see a lot of action in real quick, the yield curve trading. So we'll be right back after these messages.
The risk of loss in trading futures and options can be substantial. Therefore, only genuine risk funds should be used in such trading. Futures and options may not be a suitable investment for all individuals, and individuals should carefully consider their financial condition in deciding whether to trade. Option traders should be aware that the exercise of a long option will result in a futures position. Information herein has been obtained and prepared from sources believed to be reliable. Comments contained in these materials are not intended to be solicitation to buy or sell any of the commodities mentioned. Past performance is not indicative of any future performance. Opinions expressed here are the opinions of the author only, and not the opinion of any firm the author may be affiliated or associated with.